Hi everyone, my name is Maura Scanlon and I'm a violin teacher at the Brookline Music School. Today I'll be walking us through how to change a violin string. If you've never done this before, it can seem daunting, but once you get a handle on it, it's really pretty straightforward. So hopefully after we finish this video, you'll feel confident. Today I'm going to be changing the D string. And so the first thing that you have to know before you change your strings is whether or not your instrument takes ball end or loop end strings. You can easily figure out if your instrument has ball or loop ends by looking at the tailpiece, where the strings go into the tailpiece. And if they are ball end, you will be able to see underneath the tailpiece some little kind of metal ball type things that are at the end of the string. So that's the ball end. And similarly with the loop end, you will be able to tell if there's a metal loop at the end of the string. So once you've determined which kinds of strings you need for your instrument, we can begin the process of changing our strings. So the first thing we need to do when changing our string is remove the old string. So we're going to do this we're going to start at the scroll, and I like to face the violin towards me and sort of put it in the crook of my body just so I can have some leverage with this. And what we're going to do is loosen the old string, okay? So we're going to turn the peg towards us, and I like to kind of pull the string as I'm doing this just to keep some tension on it so it doesn't kind of flop around. And just keep loosening the peg until the string will pop out of its little enclosure and its little hole that it was in. And then you see the end there. The peg is still in the peg box. And now we have to remove the other end of the string, which is much easier. So we have this, my instrument has ball end strings. So you're just going to remove the string from that end, from the tailpiece. All right, so now that we have our free D string space for a new string, we're going to grab our new string, and we're going to do this sort of in reverse order of operations. So first, with the new string, we are going to insert the ball end down at the tailpiece. I like to do this because the ball end is usually kind of snug, so it will hold it should hold the string in after you place it in there. So what you need to do, you may need two hands for this, I'm not sure, is you just kind of wiggle the ball end into its enclosure until you feel like it's kind of snug in there. There are different types of receptacles down here, like mechanisms, so you should be able to kind of figure it out. Just nestle the ball end into whatever kind of space it's supposed to go in. It should be fairly straightforward. Then we're going to take the other end of the string and we're going to look in the peg box, which is the space in here, and at the peg, and we're going to be able to find, if you can't see a little hole, then just rotate the peg until you can see a hole. And then you're going to insert the end of the string directly into that little hole until you touch the back of the peg box. And then you're going to begin to tighten the string. So you're going to turn the peg away from you. And what's going to happen here as you turn the peg away from you over and over again is that the string is going to wrap itself around the peg. Now, in order to do this, I think in the most optimal way, I like to avoid any overlapping of the strings. So we want to make sure that the coil of the string is kind of like one after the other instead of like on top of each other or kind of like that. So what I like to do is I like to start in the middle and work my way towards the edge with the string. And it's pretty easy to guide the string along the peg as you do this. So once we have our string fairly tight, but not really tight, we're going to take a pause there so it's secured at both ends. Oh, and keep in mind while you're turning the peg, it's really important to push in on the peg while you're turning as well, because otherwise it can unravel. The peg can unravel and you'll have to start all over. So push in as you're turning away from you. So now that we've got the strings secured at both ends, we have to check two spots. There are little notches on the bridge of the violin and also at the nut of the violin where the string can nestle into. So these notches they help the string stay in the right spot. So we have to make sure that the string is in those notches, secured in those notches. And once the string is secured in the notches, you may continue tuning the string up until you get it to a D pitch. All right? So there you go. Now we have a brand new string. Thanks so much.